In our previous video, we covered Dharmapala's ascension to the throne of Bengal and the challenges that came immediately afterwards. The powerful king of Kannauj, Amma, crushed any ambition Dharmapala may have had, forcing him into submission. But fate is ever-changing. Amma soon found himself dragged into a war against the formidable Kashmiri prince Jayapida under the command of his father-in-law, the king of Gaur, Jayanta. In the end, Amma lost and was forced to abdicate his throne in Kannauj to his son Dunduka, whilst Amma himself retreated to Gwalior. In the meanwhile, Jayapida returned to Kashmir to establish his own kingdom. With Amma's power diminished and Jayapida returning to Kashmir, Dharmapala seized the moment. He marched into Gaur and Kamrup, taking control of those regions and laying the foundation for something greater. However, in the northwest of India, another power emerges. Vatsa Raja of the Pratihara kingdom has recently brought much of Rajasthan and Malav under his control, though this does not limit his ambitions. Unlike Dharmapala, he awaits an opening to take Kannauj and turn his kingdom into an empire. After tending to some matters of state, Jayapida leaves Kashmir for another conquest of India. This time, he moves across the Himalayan ranges to launch an invasion of India from the north. Instead of taking a southward route, which would prematurely lead him into a conflict with the powerful Pratihara kingdom. When Jayapida enters Nepal, its king, Aramuri, flees to the bank of a river. Jayapida gives chase, and seeing that the depth of the river was only knee-high, he leads his men to cross the river and take the fight to Aramuri. The river unfolds itself to be a trap. As Jayapida and his men make their way halfway across, a flood tide comes in and sweeps away the bulk of Jayapida's army. Aramuri sends a subordinate to capture Jayapida whilst he barely stays afloat himself by swimming. Once ashore, Aramuri orders that Jayapida be kept in a high stone-built house on the banks of the Gandaki river, with guards to watch over him. Jayapida's minister, Devasharma, hears of the king's peril and formulates a plan to free Jayapida. Devasharma brings a contingent of Jayapida's army from Kashmir and leaves them on the banks of the Gandaki river. Devasharma then crosses the river to meet with Aramuri. He convinces Aramuri that his purpose in Nepal is to negotiate the handover of the Kakora kingdom to Aramuri, as well as to obtain information from Jayapida as to the whereabouts of Kashmir's treasures. He tells Aramuri that he aims to obtain this information by giving Jayapida the false promise that he will be freed in exchange. Aramuri agrees to allow Devasharma to meet with Jayapida. Once the guards leave Devasharma and Jayapida alone in the room, Devasharma breaks down in tears and at the same time tries to convince Jayapida of victory. He says to Jayapida, "You may succeed if your courage fails thee not." To this, Jayapida inquires, "When I am thus unarmed, what can I do though I possess courage?" Devasharma continues, "If your courage has not been lost, the danger can be got over. You can leap from this window and cross over to the other side, for the army that is there is yours." Unamused, Jayapida replies, "Without a leather bag the river cannot be crossed, and if a leather bag be thrown from this height it will burst, so your plan is useless. And after being thus humiliated, I do not wish to die without first chastising the foe." Devasharma then gives Jayapida some hope. "Wait 2 hours, then come alone and you will see the plan I propose to cross the river, and follow it without fear." Jayapida follows Devasharma's advice, leaving to another room for the specified time before returning. Jayapida finds Devasharma's lifeless body lying on the ground. He observes that Devasharma has a piece of cloth tied around his neck with a message written in blood. The flesh under Devasharma's nails and the scratches on his body indicate that the blood on the cloth is his own. The message reads, "I am but dead today. My body is stuffed with air, and will be for you a leather bag which will not break. Ride on me and cross the river. I have tied a cloth around my thighs. Thrust your leg within it up to your thighs." Jayapida breaks down into tears and takes some time to grieve the death of his loyal minister. He then brings himself together and follows Devasharma's final instructions. Jayapida escapes his confinement, crosses the river in the manner described by Devasharma, and rejoins his army. He moves quick and finalizes his vengeance upon Aramuri before overrunning the Nepalese kingdom. Inspired by Devasharma's sacrifice and faith in him, Jayapida continues his conquests across northern India, submitting various kings to his rule. Jayapida takes the province of Madra from Dunduka's rapidly shrinking empire, before returning to Kashmir and attending to matters of state. Having been exhausted of all patience, Dunduka's highest ranking officers overthrow his rule and replace him with his son Bhoja as emperor of Kannauj. Following a brief and unremarkable rule, Bhoja himself is overthrown by Vajrarudha, who takes the crown and commences the Ayudha dynasty of Kanauj. The weak state of Kanauj invites both King Vatsyaraja from the west and King Dharmapala from the east to rapidly capture lands as they make their way through to invade Kanauj. Whoever conquers Kanauj would achieve a significant symbolic victory, as it would ascend their kingdom into an authoritative empire in the eyes of the people. Unfortunately for Dharmapala, Vatsaraja reaches Kanauj first and defeats Vajrarudha. He forces Indrayudha, Vajrarudha's son, to become his vassal. Aware of Dharmapala's similarly imperial intentions, Vatsaraja marches his armies against Dharmapala. The two armies meet in the Doab region of India. Following a battle which drains the resources of both parties, Vatsaraja emerges the clear victor over Dharmapala. As Dharmapala retreats towards his base in Bengal, Vatsaraja's armies continue their march down the east of India, invading lands and looting treasures on their path. In this way, Vatsaraja's empire ousts Dharmapala from his own kingdom. At a moment when all seems lost for Dharmapala, a great power strikes at Vatsaraja from the south like divine intervention. King Dhruva of the Rashtrakuta kingdom had been patiently observing the events unfolding up north. As Vatsaraja's empire tires from its war with Dharmapala, Dhruva presses his advantage. Dhruva's attack prevents Vatsaraja from continuing his march to inflict total destruction upon Dharmapala. Vatsaraja is instead forced to deal with the greater threat posed by Dhruva, whilst Vatsaraja's armies are distracted in defending against Dhruva's assaults. Dharmapala launches a grand campaign to retake his lost territories. With his previous experience and popularity amongst the masses, Dharmapala overwhelms the garrisons left by Vatsaraja to keep him out. Despite his best efforts, Vatsaraja does not fare much better against Dhruva. Following his crushing defeat, Vatsaraja loses his empire to Dhruva and is forced to live like a fugitive in the trackless West Indian desert lands of Rajputana. Devoid of all hope of reclaiming his lost empire, Vatsaraja dies in a pitiful state. His son, Nagbat II, forms his intention to avenge his father's legacy. Defiant against fate, Dharmapala tries again to take Kanauj to upgrade his kingdom into an empire. Yet, as fate would have it, Dharmapala is forced to battle again in the Doab region instead of taking the fight to Kanauj. Dhruva's army faces Dharmapala's to crush his aspirations in the region. Dhruva's age complements his experience, and Dharmapala is unable to best the odds stacked against him by the mighty Rashtrakuta Empire. Dharmapala is turned back defeated, unable to correct the course of history in his favor. Fortunately for Dharmapala, Dhruva is unable to give him chase. With his supply lines already stretched too thin due to the vast distance of his army from the Rashtrakuta capital, Dhruva turns back to govern his empire. Dhruva is cautious not to overextend himself and exhaust his resources. He continues his military career closer to his power base in the south. Despite his setbacks, Dharmapala does not give up on his dream of becoming an emperor and pacifying India for the protection of his people. He relentlessly forges his way towards Kanauj, where Indrayudha prepares a defense on behalf of the Rashtrakuta Empire. Indrayudha is, however, divided in his ranks as his brother Chakrayudha is more sympathetic to Dharmapala's cause. Unlike the historically renowned emperors of the Maurya, Gupta and Pratihara empires of the subcontinent, Dharmapala was not an intrusive ruler. His vassal states were not annexed to his central dominions. Rather, the rulers within his sphere of influence would be left undisturbed so long as they acknowledged the supreme authority of Dharmapala and provided the agreed amount of tribute and military assistance. Through such an agreement, Dharmapala respected the local rulers as well as the customs and cultures, whilst ensuring that his own homeland of Bengal was protected. It appeared that Dharmapala was more interested in preserving the peace and prosperity of northern India through his conquests rather than the establishment of tyrannical rule. Without the support of Chakrayudha, Indrayudha fails in holding a robust defense against Dharmapala's army. Dharmapala finally conquers Kanauj and becomes an emperor. He removes Indrayudha from leadership and installs Chakrayudha to the throne of Kanauj to rule as Dharmapala's vassal. To celebrate their victory and signify the ascension of the Pala Empire, Dharmapala holds an imperial assembly. He invites 9 of his vassal chiefs to Kanauj to witness the crowning of Chakrayudha. The vassal chiefs ceremoniously utter acclamations of approval and bow down respectfully with their diadems trembling. The event symbolizes the victory of Bengal over Emperor Harshavardhan, who had a century ago held similar events at Kanauj during a time when he plunged Bengal into a 100-year period of anarchy as vengeance against his enemy, who was then the Bengali king Shashank. While Dharmapala enjoys the rewards of perseverance, the risk of another successful assault by Dhruva to take back Kannauj lay across Dharmapala's southern border. In any case, no such assault eventuates, and fate decides to reward Dharmapala further as the old Dhruva passes away. The resulting succession crisis plunges the Rashtrakutas into a civil war. Dharmapala swings with the momentum of his victories, expanding his empire further and incorporating the provinces of Nepal, Punjab, Eastern Rajputana and Berar. The recent turn of events establishes the Pala Empire as the dominant power in the Indian subcontinent. To the north of the Pala Empire lay the rich Karkota kingdom. Its king, Jayapida, has found a large deposit of copper ore. Jayapida could either use the wealth to fund another expedition to reclaim the lost triumphs of the Karkota Empire, or to stimulate economic growth. Jayapida's ministers advise him to accumulate power domestically and not undertake the fatigue of foreign conquest. A conquest at this time would inevitably lead the Karkota Empire into a costly war against the mighty Pala Empire. Jayapida knows too well the toils of war and the sacrifices which need to be made to even stand a chance at victory. He chooses the easier option and abandons his dreams of glory. Jayapida's decision devastates his spirit. He becomes bitter and cruel. He takes his frustrations out on his own populace and accumulates power at their expense. The same vigor and instruments which he had used to humble kings, Jayapida now uses to quell rebellions and strike fear into his people. Only those who flatter Jayapida are able to count themselves as safe from his killing spree. On a different path, hardened by his life in the desert, the son of Vatsaraja, Nagbad II, insistently clings on his dream of recovering the lost territories of the Pratihara Empire. He has, however, inherited a feeble kingdom from Vatsaraja which lacks the means to challenge the Pala Empire itself. Nagbad II reaches out to the kings of Sindhu, Andhra, Vidarbha, and Kalinga, engaging in discussions to topple the Pala Empire and expand their own power. They decide on a strategy to surround and attack the Pala Empire simultaneously. Nagbad II, as the leader of the coalition, marches towards Kannauj to reinstate the Pratihara Empire, whilst his coalition overwhelms the Pala Empire through coordinated strikes on all fronts. Nagbad II matches his will against Chakrayuda and crushes him on the battlefield. Chakrayuda flees to Dharmapala, leaving Kannauj in Nagbad II's hands. Out from the remote deserts of Rajasthan, Nagbad II has proven himself to be a worthy successor of his father's legacy as he rules over the newly established Pratihara Empire. As emperor, his first act is to continue his campaign to finish off what his father had started, to destroy Dharmapala once and for all. Nagbad II marches down the east of India, giving chase to the armies of Dharmapala and Chakrayuda. As Nagbad II approaches Gaur with his army, he does not even have to fight Dharmapala for it. One of his subordinates presents the entire province of Gaur to him as a gift, since that subordinate had already conquered the province from the fleeing Dharmapala. Nagbad II enjoys the fruits of his plan as his coalition experiences victory after victory against Dharmapala. Nagbad II's forces corner Dharmapala and Chakrayuda at the outskirts of Mongar, near the heart of Dharmapala's dominions. There, Dharmapala and Chakrayuda make a final stand of resistance before they're crushed by Nagbad II. Dharmapala and Chakrayuda retreat from the battlefield without an army that could provide any more meaningful resistance against Nagbad II's invasion. Nagbad II continues to venture deeper into Bengal to complete his invasion and put an end to the story of Dharmapala. Yet, the more experienced Dharmapala had prepared for this moment. He brings about a repeat of history and saves himself from total destruction. He had been in correspondence to invoke the aid of the new king of the Rashtrakutas, the son of Dhruva, Govinda III. Alarmed by the growing power of the ambitious Nagbad II, Govinda III invades the Pratihara Empire from its southern flank and marches up to the Doab region. The effects of Govinda III's invasion are decisive. Though Nagbad II turns to face Govinda III, his forces had already been depleted in his skirmishes against Dharmapala. The Pratihara Empire experiences total disintegration. Nagbad II returns to hiding in the safety of the trackless Rajput desert, the resting place of his father. Grateful for Govinda III's assistance, Dharmapala and Chakrayuda greet Govinda III on friendly terms. The kings get along with each other so well that a wedding is arranged for Dharmapala. Dharmapala marries Rana Devi, who was the daughter of a high-ranking Rashtrakuta noble. From this union of Dharmapala and Rana Devi would come Dharmapala's son and successor, Devapala. Govinda III returns to the south of India and Dharmapala re-establishes the Pala Empire in the north. Dharmapala's popularity with the people reaches uncharted heights. Yet, he keeps himself humble, despite his extraordinary achievements in building the Pala Empire and braving the countless heavy tides of misfortune. It is written of Dharmapala that upon hearing his praises sung by the cowherds on the borders, by the foresters in the forests, by the villagers on the outskirts of villages, by the playing groups of children in every courtyard, in every market by the guardians of the waits, and in pleasure houses by the parrots in the cages, he always bashfully turns aside and bows down his face. Dharmapala continues his patronage of Buddhism and provides land grants to his Hindu subjects, caring for all regardless of their religion. Through his unwavering patience and determination, as well as with the blessings of his people, Dharmapala finally realizes a grand and lasting empire. In contrast, having been crushed of all ambition to attempt another conquest of India, Jayapeda has given up on his dreams. Unable to find another purpose in life, Jayapeda continues his oppression. His unbalanced taxation policies even plunder the priestly class, the Brahmanas, who are also subject to Jayapeda's mass killings whenever they protest. Prior to Jayapeda's rule, the Brahmanas had been safe from persecution owing to their sacred status in society. A group of Brahmanas approached Jayapeda to request an end to the persecution. However, their pleas are responded by a hostile barrage of insults as Jayapeda calls them beggars and unworthy of respect. Seeing the Brahmana angry, Jayapeda asks him with a smile to insult him further. "What will your anger effect?" A Brahman answers also with a rhetorical question. "Will not my anger bring down the weapon of God onto you?" Arrogantly, Jayapeda responds, "Let fall the weapon of God, why delay it any longer?" The Brahmana then declares, "O cruel man, there it falls." A hard fruit from the canopy above them then falls onto the head of Jayapeda, causing a wound which festered over 5 days before killing him. Thus ends the life of Jayapeda, from his beginnings as a promising hero to a despised villain in the eyes of the people. In the deserts of Rajputana, Nagbad II bides his time till the death of Dharmapala to strike again. Following the ascension of Dharmapala's son, Devapala as Pala Emperor, Nagbad II commences another invasion of the Pala Empire and takes Kanauj. Again, the Pratihara Empire is short-lived and crumbles following Nagbad II's passing. Devapala builds upon his father's legacy and proves himself to be a formidable military genius. He not only crushes the Pratihara Empire, he also defeats the Rashtrakutas and extends the borders of the Pala Empire beyond that established by his father Dharmapala. Under his reign, the dominions of the Pala Empire stretch from Assam to the borders of Kashmir, from the Himalayas to the Vindhyas. And if some sources are to be believed, his empire even stretched down to the southernmost extremity of India. In Gwalior, Amma had continued his rule though in the capacity of a Rashtrakuta vassal under Govinda III, before he became a vassal for the Pratihara Empire under Nagbad II. However, unlike Jayapeda, Amma finds his life's purpose in the religion of Jainism. Amma absolves himself of all royal responsibilities and makes a journey to Magad, a province under the Pala Empire, which was an empire he almost destroyed before it even began. There, at a holy place for Jains, he devotes the remainder of his life to the practice of his religion before passing away in peace. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this fun map of Bangladesh in the background, please do buy it from the link in the description as it will help our channel grow. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share as it will help us immensely. And if you want to go the extra step, please do support us through our Patreon. Catch you all in our next video.